We are now.
Okay. Hello, children. Six Bell is also currently in here right now because we are moving past these sigma and pi bonds because we have time to start molecular naming, which is what we're going to do right now. So, my children, let's follow this little worksheet. It says, molecular compounds are formed when two nonmetals bond together. So, molecular compounds are formed when two nonmetals bond together. The bond that these compounds form when two atoms share electrons is called what type of bond? Covalent. Covalent. So good. I feel like we just need to get a snapshot of your face right now. Okay. So, therefore, we can call molecular compounds also what type of compounds? What type of bond is it? So we can call them covalent compounds. So molecular compounds, covalent compounds, same thing. It says more specifically, when we are using two different elements, chemists will call molecular compounds by another name. Remember when we said that there were two elements that were bonding in an ionic compound? Do you remember that name? It started with a B. What is it?
Binary.
Binary, that's exactly right. So this is going to be, it forms a binary covalent compound. Meaning, we're going to be bonding two nonmetals together to form a compound. Now, please look at where I have the million stars here. It says, since metalloids, aka million, since metalloids act as nonmetals and metals, it is possible for a metalloid to play a role in these molecular compounds. So you will see some metalloids in here, and it's because they can act also like a non-metal, okay? So don't be like, oh my gosh, that's a metalloid. It can't be a molecular compound and spaz out. It still can be. Go down to where it says covalent compounds, and it says blank blank involve ions. What do you think? Do not. Covalent compounds do not ever involve a charge. Do not ever involve ions. So that is only for ionic compounds. So this is why we have a different naming system for molecular compounds versus ionic. So ionic compounds are really focused on the charge. Molecular compounds, we're going to be focusing on how many of those atoms or how many of those nonmetals are present. Take a screenshot of Luke right now, or just... Children, Luke is being distracting, if that's what you're wondering. Okay. So, if we continue on, it says some rules for naming ionic compounds carry over. And we will see some of this below, so we're getting into these rules. It says that chemists use blank to indicate the number of atoms in each compound. What do you think? Prefixes! Yeah! Chemists use prefixes whenever we want to indicate how many of a certain atom we have present. So rules for naming. Number one, write the name of the first element. Same thing like in ionic bonding. If we had sodium chloride, I had NaCl, Na would be sodium. It's the same thing here. If I have carbon tetrachloride, if I have CCl4, C is my first one, I'm going to name it carbon. Second rule. This is a trick. If there is more than one atom of the first element, I have to add a prefix in front of it. So let's say we have CCl4 versus H2O. I only have one carbon present here, so I'm going to start this name off carbon. But how many hydrogen do I have on this one? Two. So I'm going to call this dihydrogen. What's the prefix for one? Do you know?
Mono.
Mono. So I'm not going to call this monocarbon tetrachloride. I'm just going to call it carbon if I have one. Okay? Because it's just redundant. So if I just have one, I'm just going to use the name. But if I have more than one on the first one, I have to use a prefix. Okay, let's keep going. It says, but wait. What is a prefix? What is a prefix? Something that goes before that word. Very good. A prefix indicates how many atoms are present in a compound. Why do we use prefixes for covalent compounds, but we don't use prefixes for ionic compounds?
Because they're not.
I hear you say charges in, and you're good. I like this. So, would you ever call this aluminum trichloride?
No.
No. We would never call that. Because what will the charge of aluminum always be? +3. What's always the charge of chlorine? -1, and there are 3 of them. So overall, this is a neutral
Just a couple
compound.
of afternoon announcements.
Will it ever have
Anyone
a different
interested in
formula
filming
other
the
than this?
freshman girls
No.
basketball
But
game?
nitrogen
Please
and
see
oxygen
Mr. Seymour
could
in
have several different
C5 in the
forms.
junior high.
I could have
Students, you can't earn community
NO,
service hours for doing this.
NO2.
Seniors, next Tuesday, get those
So,
senior
in
pictures
all of
in,
these,
please. Make sure you buy
Nitrogen
your
still has the
yearbook
same number
before
of
those
valence
go
electrons,
up.
and oxygen still will always have a -2 charge.
FCA
I
is
can't
tomorrow.
use charges
Mr. Garvin will
to
be
think
the
about molecular
speaker.
compounds. So
And
I
I
have
think
to
that's
use
it for now.
prefixes
Everybody
in
remember the meetings and
naming
things that are going on this
our molecular
afternoon.
compounds.
Thank you.
If you would look at the bottom chart, I want you to know the names of these prefixes. The name or prefix name for 1 is what? Mono. What about 2? Di. 3? Tri. 4? 5. Penta. Very good. Penta. 6.
Hexa.
Hexa. I'm sorry, we're going really fast.
They can watch the video.
What's 7?
Hepta.
Hepta. 7 is hepta. Can you spell any of these?
Yeah,
Start with tetra. So it goes tetra. And then it will go penta. So this is 4. This is 5. 6 is what?
Hexa.
Hexa.
Oh, there's that.
What's 7? Hepta. What's 8? Octa. What about 9?
Nova
We
Ita.
have nona. What about 10? Deca, which is DECA. Okay, so those are our prefix names. If you flip to the back, there are 3 more rules, and 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes? Okay, let's just keep going. Just keep going. Flying through. Number 3, the second element, always, 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 always. Note how you have 4 always in caps. So it's super important. Always, 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 always gets a prefix. Always. Just like number 4, an ionic compound, you're going to change the ending to have that IDE. So if this is carbon, I have 4 chlorine atoms. So what's the prefix for 4? Tetra. So tetrachloride. So this would be, I'm going to make a new page. Oh, that was fail. CCl4. So this would be carbon tetrachloride. Okay? We'll have to watch the rest of them tonight. There'll be another video, children.
What minute is it at?
Guys, the rest of them are just doing these examples.